Hey Transformers fans, how's it going? Here I am taking a look at my sort of summary of TFCON 2017. Was pretty fortunate to have been able to attend the show on the Saturday and had a really good time. As always, it was a great event. You know, they had some really cool show exclusives like this recolor of MMC's Calidus in the sort of shattered glass colors. That was really neat to see. As well as they had a yellow recolor of the Trailbreaker mold, the Terragus Rally. Yeah, there you go, which was really kind of cool. I really like how they did, that very unusual color scheme on him. They both of those show exclusive figures look pretty awesome, so that was neat to see. Had a fun day. You know, I was hanging out with my buddy Dave. That's me on the right, Dave on the left, and yeah, we got to meet a bunch of really cool people. Had some laughs, saw some really awesome figures, took in some of the panel discussions, and just generally had a blast, hanging out with Transformers fans from all over the place. The lobby area, or sort of the sign-in area where you would buy your tickets, had a really cool display full of third-party stuff, masterpiece-style figures, and some neat stuff that hadn't really been seen very much before. This display is always very impressive, as it's a good opportunity for the third-party companies to showcase sort of what's new, what's coming up, or what's really hot right now. So it was pretty neat to see all of that stuff. One of the things that I thought was really cool is they had this neat display of the three upscaled Planet X Fall of Cybertron style Seekers. Just a really neat looking mold. Really nice how they upscaled it. The detail was awesome. Very, very impressive figures. And this was a neat display as well. I mean, you can see the Terminus Giganticus figure that's just been released, the Masterpiece Scale Omega Supreme, as well as the upcoming Cup Masterpiece style figure. Both of those looked amazing, so it was really cool to see them up close. Even some of the upcoming Combiner figures, this version of Superion in Masterpiece Scale, absolutely looked fantastic. The detail is just unbelievable on these things. Can't wait to see a full color version of that. Chosen Prime had a fantastic booth. As soon as you walk in, basically the dealer room entrance, these guys were front and center, and really sort of expanded their footprint this year. Lots of nice room to walk around. You didn't feel too crowded, and a ton of awesome third-party stuff, including a look at the upcoming Seeker mold from Make Toys, which was awesome to see up close. I mean, you see the renders and stuff, but when you see it in person, it looks even better. This is going to be an awesome figure, so definitely looking forward to seeing some full-color shots of that guy as well. They had a couple of Ultra Metal figures on display, obviously Ultra Magnus, and these guys are just massive. They are huge. The detail is just unbelievable. So it was pretty neat to see these giant bots, hanging out at the top of the Chosen Prime display, and there's Prime as well, and they just look fantastic. I mean, if you can snag one of these for your display, they really are sort of the centerpiece and the showcase piece, of a collection. I mean, they're just very imposing figures. They're huge, they're shiny, and they look great. A lot of costumes this year were really, really cool, really well done, including this little dude who was getting all kinds of photos taken with him. He was having a blast. He was there with his parents, and was just having a really good time. And that's one of the most fun things about this show is when you see stuff like that. I was fortunate, this year to be able to snag finally a copy of Fans Toys Spotter. I wanted that figure for a long time to sort of fill out my '84 Decepticon team shelf. I've pretty much got all of that cast now, the original series, G1 series cast. And while we were hanging out at the bar playing with those guys, this dude who was dressed as Swedish Chef was walking around and doing the whole Swedish Chef bit, and it was cracking everybody up, so that was pretty fun to see. That's not something you normally see at the event, but it was a good time. So yeah, like I said, glad to pick up Spotter. Got him for a pretty decent price from a guy who was blowing out a lot of his collection. But yeah, it's a great figure. Finally, got my hands on him, and really happy to have him as part of my collection. A little late to the party, but he's still good nonetheless. Anyone that was on the lookout for some G1 stuff would have had a pretty good show. There was a pretty wide selection. There was some inbox stuff, as well as lots of parts. There's always the parts vendor that has all the guns and accessories and all that stuff. If you happen to have an incomplete figure, you can get it all fixed up. But then there was also a pretty wide range of other generations as well. I mean, Combiner Wars and Titan's Return was pretty well represented. Tons of Masterpiece stuff from a lot of different vendors, accessory kits, lots of import stuff from Takara Tomy, The selection this year was pretty wide. I mean, not so much of the older generation stuff, or like Thrilling 30, or just sort of general Generations United, you know, that kind of stuff. But most of the other stuff was pretty well represented, and a lot of the pricing that I noticed this year was very reasonable. There wasn't anything that was, totally out to lunch in terms of how much people were asking. The pricing was pretty good across a lot of the vendors, so I think everybody would have been really happy with that. There was also this little show exclusive figure, sort of a mini space style Bumblebee, kind of a hybrid between what he looked like in the first episode of G1 series when he was in his Cybertron mode, and some other cues as well. But it was a neat little figure. Snapped a quick little pic of this absolutely beautifully clean white G1 Jetfire, complete with all of his stuff, and then Optimus Prime as well. I mean, these two figures for G1 were absolutely gorgeous looking, so I had to take a picture of them. Always good to see that stuff. Artist's Alley looked great. The detail on some of these prints is just staggering. It's amazing what these guys can do. So if you had a chance to check out Artist's Alley, you know what I'm talking about. But it was definitely wide range of stuff for all types of collectors. Yeah, it was pretty neat. The customs contest, or the art contest table, was pretty neat. I didn't take a lot of pictures, but I did snap this one of this custom Voyager Prime from last night. Somebody spent a lot of time and a lot of work on this guy. He looked great. But there were a lot of other neat entries as well. So yeah, I just kind of took a little bit of break in the lobby there and was playing with Spotter, trying to figure out the nuances of this guy and get him transformed. And oh man, I was fiddling with the guy for probably like a good half hour, 45 minutes to get everything figured out. And it was pretty funny. People were watching. A couple of people were watching me as I was struggling through this thing. My hands are shaking, trying not to break it. So lots of laughs and lots of fun just hanging out in the lobby and checking out the stuff. That was pretty cool. So I had a good time. But I think one of the highlights always, of course, is the voice actors panels, and Michael Bell was no exception this year. He was just great to hear him talk and tell the stories about what it was like back in the day working with all of these awesome voice actors, and memories from the shows and all the other things that he's done. And his voice of G1 Prowl is still spot on. I mean, it's exactly the same as it was. I can close my eyes and hear it right now. I mean, it's so distinctive and so unique. It's just really neat to see and to hear him do it live. And then when he did his sort of joint discussion there with Arthur Burkhart, who was the voice of Devastator as well as Destro in G.I. Joe, that was pretty awesome as well. I mean, the sort of the rapport that these two guys have with each other. I mean, they were joking around, making laughs, telling stories. It was a good time. So yeah, me and Dave definitely had a blast hanging out with everybody that was at TFCON Toronto. Lots of fun. Definitely looking forward to next year, of course. And yeah, happy to hear if you were there. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave them in the comment section. Love to hear of anybody that was at the event, and maybe you saw us walking around, and said hi. It'd be great to hear from you on the comment section here. So let us know what you think. And yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, and we will talk to you again soon.